My video game collection has changed a lot over the last year, and in this new series I'm going to take you on a journey through my entire collection one section at a time, and in today's episode we're going to talk about and take a look at the PlayStation 5 collection. So one of the things that I hope you guys can get out of today's video are some PS5 games that I can recommend to you for your own collection, and maybe a few hidden gems or obscure games that you've never heard of or didn't even know existed that I can bring to your attention. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of this awesome stack of games here, let me talk about my background with the PlayStation 5 and kind of how it all started, how I got the console, and why I love it so much. There's something truly special about getting a brand new console, unboxing it for the first time, setting it up, and getting that first experience with that console. Well, that's kind of what my experience was like with the PlayStation 5. I've been a huge PlayStation fan since the PlayStation 4. Prior to that, never really was much of a Sony fan. I had some of the consoles. I had a PS1, I had a PS2, and sure, I played those, but I never really became a big Sony fan until the PlayStation 4 released, because I mainly played Nintendo, still do of course. But the PlayStation 5 I was super excited for. I loved the idea of the controller, the increased power, the solid state hard drive, and what they were going to be able to do with that. All of these things had me very excited, and I knew I had to try to get one on launch day, which, as many of you know, was quite the challenge. But I managed to get lucky and snag my PlayStation 5. I got an online pre-order through Walmart, and I was able to pick it up at my local Walmart, the disc version of the PlayStation 5, and I have played the hell out of that console. I have played and beat several of the games in my collection for that console. We're going to talk about some of those here in just a minute, and I absolutely love it. The DualSense controller is incredible. Being able to play in 4K with the increased resolution and power of the PlayStation 5 and the increased power of the solid state hard drive is incredible. So I love the PS5. I do wish it had more exclusives, but that's just a small nitpick. So let's talk numbers real fast before we get into some more nitty-gritty details on some of the individual games. I have exactly 23 games in my PlayStation 5 collection. All 23 games are complete in box. Well, about as complete in box as a modern game can be, right? That doesn't mean you're getting a manual. Sometimes you'll have like a DLC code or whatever. You guys know, you've been there. The total estimated value of this entire stack of games at the time of this recording is $520. Now let's talk about 5 of the most expensive games in my collection, and then I'll start talking about some of the individual games. All right, let's quickly go over the 5 most expensive games in my PlayStation 5 collection, and I'm going to go from the least expensive of the 5 to the most expensive of the 5, and also keep in mind that these estimated values are from price charting and they are at the time of today's video, so by the time you watch this, those prices will probably be up or down, especially the last 2. So the first game is Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, worth around $29, Kena Bridge of Spirits, worth around $30, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, worth around $31, Elden Ring, worth around $39, and the most expensive game in my PlayStation 5 collection is God of War Ragnarok, worth around $58. Now here's the thing, none of those games are really collectible at this point. The only reason that God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring are worth the amount that they're worth used is because those games came out not too long ago at the time of the recording of this video, especially God of War Ragnarok. It literally came out a few weeks ago at the time of this video. So that's why those are the price that they are. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of my PS5 collection and start talking about individual games. Now, I think the best way for me to do this is to just grab one game at a time and just see what I want to say about it. So let's go ahead and do that. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. I mean, it's amazing. The Marvel Spider-Man that released on the PS4 was amazing, one of my favorite superhero games of all time, and this is right up there with it. It is an amazing experience. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's short and sweet. You can 100% this game in around 10 hours, no joke. So it's not a very long game. You can play through the main story in a few hours, but playing with Miles Morales is a blast. It has a pretty good story. Combat's fun, and it's just a great game. I highly recommend picking it up, especially if you're a fan of action games, superhero games, or just Spider-Man in general. Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's a game that's kind of flew under the radar. Now, I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it is a game that I will be playing in the very near future because several people have told me that it's amazing, including Marcello from GameCube Galaxy, and apparently it takes around 30 hours to play through this game too, so it's a pretty lengthy game. So this is one I'm definitely going to check out. If you've played it, let me know in the comments down below. Watch Dogs Legion. I haven't actually played this. I've never even played a Watch Dogs game before, but I think I got this brand new for like 10 bucks. I think it was a sale on Amazon, so I figured 10 bucks, why not? The Pathless. This is kind of a bigger budget indie game, and I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it looks really cool. It actually got really good reviews, and it has a very striking art style, and it's an action adventure game. Kind of reminds me of Zelda Breath of the Wild a little bit based on what I have seen. This is another game that's on my radar to play in the very near future. Sackboy A Big Adventure is a phenomenal 3D platformer on the PlayStation 5. It is a game that kind of flew under the radar. Nobody really talks about this game. I would call it a hidden gem for the PlayStation 5 already because I haven't met a single person, I don't think, that's played this game. So much fun, fantastically designed 3D platformer, great music, great graphics, great gameplay, and it has some co-op as well. So I highly recommend giving this game a try. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Me and Devin are actually working on playing through this epic culmination of 9 Lego Star Wars games packed in one epic package, completely remade from the ground up, new graphics, new gameplay, new content. There's so much to do in this game, so it's going to take me and Devin a while to play through this, but it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. Immortals Phoenix Rising. This is basically Ubisoft's version of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's pretty much a rip-off carbon copy of that game, but they do have their own unique gameplay mechanics and their own unique things in the game that's kind of distinguish it from Breath of the Wild. But I love this game. I binge played this game. I beat it. I think I put like 60 to 80 hours in this game, and I still didn't even 100% it. So I think Immortals Phoenix Rising is a fantastic game, and if you love Breath of the Wild, I can't recommend this game enough. Returnal. This is one of the few PlayStation 5 exclusives that you can only play on the PS5 or PC, and this game is fantastic. It is a third-person roguelike action game. It is extremely difficult, but the gameplay is fast and fluid. It's every single run is going to be completely different, and when you conquer this game, when you beat it and conquer the final boss, oh man, it feels good. So I cannot recommend Returnal enough. Awesome game. Hot Wheels Unleashed was actually recommended to me by a friend of mine named Josh, and me and Devin sat down and played this game for a few hours when we first got it, and holy hell, this is a hard racing game. You wouldn't think it would be because it's a Hot Wheels game, but this game is challenging if you play on anything other than easy, that is. But me and Devin, I have to get back into it one day and see if we can make it further in the game. But what we did play was fun. It was just very difficult. Grand Theft Auto 5. So that's right, folks. I am one of the few people out there that have never played through Grand Theft Auto 5. I did play it for about an hour back when it came out on the Xbox 360. So I saw that I could get it on the PS5, and I got it on sale brand new for a great price. So eventually, I'm finally going to play through Grand Theft Auto 5. Resident Evil 8, also known as Resident Evil Village. I've not had a chance to play this yet. I played a little bit of Resident Evil 7, but I never beat it. And that's the reason why I have not played Resident Evil Village yet, because I really want to play through Resident Evil 7 before I tackle Resident Evil Village. Ghostwire Tokyo. This is another game that Marcello from GameCube Galaxy recommended to me. And I actually bought this game when it released because I was very intrigued by it, especially with it being published by Bethesda. And I did play through and beat it. And while I did enjoy it, it didn't blow me away, but it had some fun gameplay mechanics. The story, I couldn't follow at all, but I did enjoy the gameplay. It was very unique. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. I think it's a pretty decent game. Metro Exodus. I got this game used for $20 on the PS5 at a game store, and I went into this not really knowing what to expect because I had only played one Metro game before and I never did beat it, but this game is phenomenal. I could not put it down. And this is another game that nobody talks about, which is very odd. If you're a fan of first-person shooters, first-person adventure games, games with some survival elements, then you gotta check out Metro Exodus. This is a phenomenal game. Fantastic story, fantastic voice acting, great writing. The gameplay is phenomenal. The exploration is great. The enemy design, everything about this game is great. So check it out. Far Cry 6. I sort of hate beat this game. I played through it and beat it, but I did not enjoy it. Ubisoft, I think it's time for you to completely revamp the Far Cry series and just reboot it and do something different, because it's getting stale and this was not a very good game. God of War Ragnarok. So, funny thing, I actually beat this game today prior to filming this video. 32 hours, did some side stuff, but I did the main story and some side stuff. Took me 32 hours. This game, just like the 2018 God of War, is an absolute epic masterpiece. This, for me, is a 10 out of 10. One of the best games I've ever played in my life, and I love it oh so much. Demon's Souls. I never played this on the PS3 when it first came out, and the PS5 remake is another one of the few PS5 exclusives. The graphics in this game are incredible. It is a remake from the ground up. I'm a huge From Software fan. I did sit down and play this for about 3 or 4 hours, and I was really enjoying it, but I got distracted by another game. So this is one that I'm gonna have to come back to at some point and conquer. Elden Ring. This is absolutely one of my favorite games of all time, and it is one of my favorite PS5 games along with God of War Ragnarok. This game is an epic masterpiece. It has redefined what an open world game should be and how an open world should be designed. I could talk about Elden Ring forever, so I'm just gonna leave it there, but it is the best From Software game ever made in my opinion, and it's one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This is another one of the PS5 exclusive games, and it's just a fantastic Ratchet and Clank game. It's a great entry into the series. The gameplay is smooth and fast and fun, tons of awesome weapons, great exploration, and it's a game that you can pretty easily 100%. It's not that difficult to 100% this game. Action-packed, gorgeous graphics. Cannot recommend it enough, especially if you're a fan of the Ratchet and Clank series. Deathloop, another Bethesda published game. I bought this on day one, binge played it. I really enjoyed it. Deathloop is a really fun game. It's a very unique premise. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. It's a Groundhog Day style story, but the way it plays out is very unique with the gameplay mechanics. It's also sort of a roguelike as well. Now, I will say by the end of the game, I was so overpowered that it wasn't a challenge at all anymore, and I had learned how to exploit the enemy AI, but that doesn't change the fact that it is a blast. Fantastic weapons. The shooting is very smooth and snappy, and I actually recommend checking it out. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I played about an hour of the single player campaign. I'm not really a Call of Duty person. I don't really do Call of Duty multiplayer. I'll play the campaigns from time to time, and that's the only reason that I bought this game. So at some point I'm going to sit down and play through the campaign. That way I at least get some of my money's worth out of it. Kena Bridge of Spirits. This is a total hidden gem on the PS5. This is another game that flew under the radar. It is underappreciated and nobody talks about. I beat this game, had a blast playing it. It is a fantastic action adventure game. Sort of has some Zelda elements to it. It has a great amount of exploration, a great story, and this game's actually pretty damn hard. Don't let the cover fool you. This was a very challenging game. It had some boss fights in it that I had a harder time with than some of the bosses I fought in Dark Souls 2, which I played prior to playing this game. So, Kena Bridge of Spirits, please folks, give this game a chance. It's fantastic. Aliens Fireteam Elite. This game I've never played. It's still sealed, as a matter of fact. Marcello from GameCube Galaxy pointed out to me one day that it was on sale brand new for 10 bucks on Amazon. So I'm like, a brand new PS5 game for 10 bucks, why not? He said it's actually a pretty fun online multiplayer game, so maybe at some point I'll check it out. And lastly, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. I played about 4 or 5 hours of this game and I was liking it okay. I've never actually really played a Devil May Cry game before. This is actually the first Devil May Cry game I've ever played. You know, I was kind of having a hard time getting into it, but I'm going to give it another shot at some point because it did get great reviews and it is supposed to be a fantastic action game, so I just think I need to dig a little deeper into it. Well, there you have have it, folks. That is my PlayStation 5 collection. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about this stack of games? Also, let me know in the comments down below if there are any physical PlayStation 5 games that you recommend that I add to my collection. That is it for today's collection update video.